First of all, thank you so much, Leather Rain, for the honor of asking me to speak tonight. It is a distinct privilege to address you on the anniversary of your first decade. You have heard speeches from some of the most masterful minds over the years, from your very first speaker, Skip Chasey, to Patrick Mulcahy, to Melina. These are tremendous thoughts, and I know and recall distinctly how thrilled I was on that first weekend, Sunday morning, talking to you. To come back in this time and know that I get to see the growth and actually see a vision that held true, that your community has fostered and kept together, is absolutely amazing. I thought the privilege the first time was going to be a lifetime memory, and so it was. That pleasure is only exceeded by this moment. So with that, I have to give a special thank you to Miss Kelly Chance. She gave me the guidance that allowed me to write 8 speeches, none of which I'm giving here tonight. She said to me in a very calm, Zen manner, be inspiring. Well, we will see how I do with that, and thank you so much for the generous creative boost. You know, inspiration really is a tricky business. I believe inspiration is the moment that someone else's turn of phrase or action unfolds something inside of us that was already there. I believe it is when we see some part of ourselves in another reflected beautifully back to us. I believe inspiration is when we allow ourselves to feel and our eyes to see. I appreciate shiny and new. Like many of you, I want the latest in technology. I want the ease, speed, and the life it beckons me to claim. Given our location, what I'm about to say next might be heresy.
Yeah.
But as we know in this room, a little edge play never hurt, really.
Much.
So, here goes. I am in a committed polyamorous relationship with my MacBook Pro, my iPad, and my iPhone. They get along really well with each other. They regularly share information between them, and what one of them can't accomplish is happily handed off to the other to finish without resentment. I put time and energy into my tech loves. I regularly experiment with new apps. I read dozens of articles to learn, and I update their operating systems faithfully. I touch them daily. I am poly-Mac fidelitus. I hold the belief that they, individually and as a group, make my life better. I have no doubt that when each of us found BDSM, leather, fetish, whatever genre you consider yourself to be a part of, it sure was shiny and new. I have no doubt you wanted to claim the discovery this opened up to you. What may at first have been a purely corporeal experience expanded far beyond a singular sensual practice for most of us, if not all of us in the room. The easy, organic inspiration of a newfound way of expressing yourself, be it sexually or in a relationship, unlocked parts of who you are for new experience and existential examination. Who could deny the allure of mixing fear and play that you knew, for the most part, was going to work out well and be mighty satisfying? Taking risks pays off. Those first months, no doubt, opened your eyes to the infinite possibility of power-acknowledged relationships and/or raw BDSM activities. Some of you, I'm betting, also fully indulged in a long runway of experiences, like an endless tasting menu. It's easy to find inspiration when everything is shiny and new. When we're past that initial dopamine drug-induced state of euphoria, we need substance to keep us interested. We need a good reason to stay or sex and maintain an energy and be intellectually and emotionally engaged. We also, and maybe more importantly, need a catalyst to remind us and ensure that we are certain that we have not yet learned everything that is important for us to know. If we slip into the comfortable security and we know what we need to know, and we're certain of that, that is the start of not seeing what we might offer, what we might receive. Believing we know everything we need to know creates a limited version of what is in front of our eyes and is a core component and definition of privilege. Privilege diminishes us as individuals and as a group. It's isolating, and it creates an us versus other mentality. It does not make room for a happy exchange without resentment. It reduces our humanity and our connection to ourselves and others. Mother Rain has provided a venue to focus on the why of our choices and not the how of what we do. This emphasis opens up a world of intellectual, emotional, and spiritual inquiry. Mother Rain holds the space open so we may go beyond the how to do whatever we think it is that's coming next. And honestly, it's a lot of fun for those of us who crave philosophical exploration and feel a soul connection to our choices. We are awake and engaged people who are interested in our depth perception. Our depth perception allows us to be deliberate in choosing the expression that reflects who we are. When we first arrive in our chosen communities, our definition of depth remains in constant flux. The parameters move and adjust with each new Big Bang experience. Creating the Big Bang is easier when we're new. But when we learn about it, we know we are going to keep attempting to create and continue to invite those experiences regardless of how long we have been in, because we know it's wonderful. We know it provides a vision to layers and layers of who we are. We see the edges, not only to learn, but to continue to have divergent experiences. We need these Big Bang experiences to keep us humble. Oh, and your Big Bang experience may vary, and yes, the pun throughout is intended. I think we are experts at pursuing and accessing pieces of ourselves that were not previously available through our bodies and our power acknowledged relationships. We know revealing new layers of ourselves physically and emotionally feels electric and gives us that payoff. We know that challenging our reflexes, challenging our fears, challenging our perceptions provides a dance with a new threshold, so we are able to expose those layers and reflect them one by one by one. We use ritual, ceremony, and subvert otherwise disconnected activities to keep our inner explorer alive. I mean, honestly, waterboarding anyone? We also know that creating these types of experience, generally, it's unexpected, it's uncharted, it cannot be deliberately crafted by intention alone. Our actions do not guarantee outcomes. If we're looking for our next inspired moment, we craft something we're doing in the hope that we will create great connection and the next self-revealing result. The Big Bang doesn't happen every time. At some point we tried, and what was true once no longer defines the horizon, but instead it defines the landscape and the dimensions of our depth perception. Once we've acquired those experiences and our dimensions of understanding become more substantial, substance is built over time. It is a conglomeration of what we know, what we feel, and the sense of what we do not yet know. You learn what you can rely upon generally for a good outcome. You learn what you need, and you decide what lane you choose to drive in and if or when you want to switch lanes. We have a lot of people with substantial experience in our communities. We value those who are possessed of great depth perception and value their multidimensional perspectives. We are not undereducated or lacking in experience any longer. We find what we need when we need it. My point, in part, is that sometimes what we're measuring as substantial and multidimensional focuses too much on the tangible expertise and not enough on the existential. For those of you who have known me longer than 15 years, you know I used to travel with full entourage, otherwise known as family members, various persons who were property, usually with a group of 6 people, and that was the low end of the bar. They held their station and our hierarchical family beautifully. They were trained by me, trained by each other, and trained by their mistakes. How they moved with me, the formation they kept, and their ability to deliver on command via eye movement and hand commands, they were visually stunning. Said the laughter of the man who recalls it. Thank you. We were not unlike the Blue Angels in big V formation, and on occasion, they wore scorching hot uniforms to match. How we operated was a fetish for me, like some of you may enjoy via closets full of Wescos and Stompers, sir. My fetish wasn't about how they looked. Okay, it mostly wasn't about that. It instead was about how each movement was defined. Their movement was a language we continually spoke to one another, highlighting concepts of openness, willingness, yielding, obedience, and exercising the exertion of my will. We did not share our language with the others. I still don't teach it. And the reason? We were not speaking to anyone other than ourselves. This was our love language. These extraordinary people invited the illusion of perfection. I say illusion because none of us bought into the idea that we were perfect. The visual presentation of them, their interaction with me, the energy individually and as a group seemed to influence others to learn what my family had learned, and they saw them as a standard. On a regular basis, we were asked to teach, and the requests were mired in, how do you walk? How do you carry a glass? How do you know who should stand where? And the focus others seemed to really zero in on was the tangible expertise only. Their greatness was not created because we had a multi-year measurable training path, though it helped. Their carriage did not happen because of my crafting a complex and personal service system which could accommodate and adequately include more than one exemplary person, though it helped. They were glorious individually and as a group because beyond the complex social foundation of how one might learn to serve, they knew why they chose to serve in the manner they did serve. They were intimate with their own humility, and which that humility expanded greatly and changed forever their depth perception on simple beliefs only. Most of all, they were liberated. And they were liberated from a previous state. And I still believe that that is what others really found attractive, but they didn't know how to articulate what they were seeing. Each of them had arrived knowing that they wanted to give to the world. They wanted to be of use, they wanted to find a way to express those feelings, and most of them were people who were used to helping others in the world, but they did not accept assistance. Accepting assistance made them uncomfortable. Each of them learned that they needed others to help them, and that those same others would need their help as well. That simple notion, I am needed, and I need you too. That liberated them from measuring their worth and actions only within a right and wrong system. That simple notion liberated them from measuring others. That simple notion liberated them from trying to outrun the inevitable mistake. Acceptance of that simple notion allowed them to indulge in curious learning and gave them a treasure trove of knowledge instead. That simple notion, put into full practice, liberated them from worry and judgment. It fostered the dimensions of their depth perception and allowed them to occupy their space with substance far beyond a skill set, and to do away with the distraction of comparison and limiting measures. They knew their worth, and they knew they mattered. They valued the existential concerns of their service more than they valued their skill sets. This, for us, felt truly substantial and enriched our depth perception and our lives in ways that we were forever changed. And for clarity's sake, I am not only referencing those who identified on the S side of the coin. This system worked well for those who were inclined to learn and wield authority, and so they did. When you are not mired in the quest for the most knowledge, the best skills, the latest technology of service, you can gently close the door on needing perfection. You can instead open the door to seeing the world as it is, beautifully imperfect. You can see yourself with the same compassion. When you are able to see yourself and embrace the notion that you need others, You no longer need others to be like you or even share your point of view. You know that they value you as you value them. You know you need them too. Affording each other the space to be as we are and choosing to understand each other as co-creative and non-competitive does wonders in moving us forward to a place where we will all play nicely together and we are willing to continue to learn from one another. Sometimes our desire to increase our depth perception leads us to explore complexity. And yes, it's a very worthy pursuit. But sometimes the big bang we need to update and refresh our operating system is found in simplicity. Try these on for a moment when you hear these simple sentences. I own you. I obey you. I am yours. I see you. I am here. And my personal favorite, just 'cause, to be heard from others. Yes, ma'am. It is not easy to keep your eyes open to the road in front of you when you believe you have seen it all before. Autopilot is seductive. This is one of the many reasons why all of you over the years who have contributed your time, efforts, and attendance at Leather Rain are owed respect and gratitude. Thank you for reminding us to be awake and aware of our edges. Thank you for creating an event to inspire us to examine why we choose what we choose. Thank you for helping to liberate each of us and providing a space where we can update our personal operating systems. You as individuals and a group have made our lives better. Thank you for being who you are, how you are, and allowing me to be part of your historic celebration tonight. I am going to leave you with a grateful heart for what you have given me, and I want to give you something of value in return. I've put this in the world before because it's important to me. I want you to take this with you also as others have. I also feel that given the difficulty we have experienced perhaps in the last week, that maybe such a simple offering to one another is greatly called for and much needed. I may or may not know your name, but this is for you. I am willing to see you. You don't have to be a certain way. You don't have to be like me. I will like you anyway, and just as you are. I won't stand by and listen to someone trash talk you, even if that someone is you. I don't know your story or what makes your voice quiet and honest, but I know I'll listen closely if you decide to tell me. I know it will matter when you say the words only you can say to allow me entrance to know you. I know that I will care and that it's important for you to say it. I know that you matter. Congratulations on a decade of reign, and thank you for letting me be here.
Oh,